Hey everyone, welcome to my Supercar Life, and today we're covering fitting brake pads to a Range Rover Sport. Now this isn't a how-to guide for beginners, this is a guide for people who know what they're doing. So unless you are competent in fitting brakes to your car, it's something you've done before, or you are a mechanic, or you are mechanically minded, then you really shouldn't be attempting this at home. This is a guide for people who fitted these types of things before, who know what they are doing, who are fully skilled in this type of thing. You shouldn't be learning how to fit brakes to your car on YouTube. This is a guide to basically show how the Brembo braking system works in comparison to Girling or Bendix systems, which you may be used to on other types of cars. Because changing the pads on the Brembo type systems is slightly different than any of the others that I've dealt with before. I'm used to dealing with the standard type of brakes where you have the caliper with the piston in the back that you have to push the piston back in using a wind back tool. The Brembo system works in a slightly different way. You've got the two pins at the top which have to be popped out, the pads come out and then the replacement ones put back in, but it's slightly different in how you push the pads back to get the pistons back into the caliper. So that's what we cover on this video. It's more a guide of what you need to do and what you need to look out for than a step-by-step how-to guide. So I hope you find it useful. If you do, as always, please like and subscribe for more videos to come in the future. Thank you. Okay, so we're going to change the brakes now on the Range Rover Sport. You've got two pegs here and here which you need to push out, and they locate into the top of the pad and the bottom of the pad. You've also got a big spring, so when you push the top pin out it will go into the top spring. You're going to have to hold it as you pull the drift back out to make sure that it doesn't fly off and hit the car or you. So just go steady and you'll be okay. Just do the top one first. And if you get stuck halfway, that's okay. You can just push the spring clip down, and while you're pushing it down, if you wiggle the pin out, and then just take the clip off and unclip it, unhook it from the bottom, and keep that safe because you'll need it when you put it back together. When you re-put these back in, you need to clean up these areas where they contact with the pad, just to make sure that the pad can move easily on them. It shouldn't take too much to remove these pins. If it's taking too much, you might want to stop and reassess what's happening, because this is quite a weak point on calipers, and if you hit too hard you can snap these off, so be really careful because it's only an aluminium caliper. Next thing you've got to do is you've got the brake wear sensor, which you want to take off because you're going to need that afterwards, and then you're going to have to push the pistons back in the caliper using the pads and screwdrivers. It's not the ideal way of doing it, but with these Brembo type brakes it is pretty much the only way to do it. So once you start wiggling them free, they will start moving backwards, but one will push against the other. So if you push the outboard back, it'll push the inboard in. So you've got to push one back, lock it, and then push the other one back, because otherwise if you start pushing this one back, it'll push this one back out because of the way that the pistons move. So just nice and gently push the pads back, and as you are pushing them back you want to get a second screwdriver in to lock the pad in place, because otherwise the hydraulic force will push it back out. You can feel when it's gone all the way back, as it'll get quite solid. So you've got to lock that one now with your screwdriver, get your second screwdriver, and do the same again on the rear. Just gently, slowly. There's no rush. If you rush it, you could damage your ABS system or your master cylinder. And there we go. Then all that's left to do, pads out. Okay, before fitting your new pads, you want to clean out this area at the bottom. You're best using a small wire brush just to clean it out, or a screwdriver just to scrape out the brake dust. You probably won't get a lot in the top because it sits at the bottom. All you need to do is slide your new pads in, and then you'll have to line them up with the holes on the pegs after. Feed the pins in with the calipers, but you may have to jiggle the pads around a smidge while you put the pins in, just to get them into line. When you can see it through the little hole, it's in line. Don't try and hammer it in unless you can see it in there, because otherwise you'll just knock the corner of the caliper off. Okay, when you feel it come to a dead stop, stop knocking. You just want to clean off any embedded brake dust on these slides. You don't need to have them mirror finish, just so they're nice and smooth, so that your new pads do slide on them properly. A tiny bit of anti-seize compound on there will just help the pads to glide across them when you're using your brakes. Okay, when you're putting this back in, so this way round with the slides going across there so that it bends that way. Push your pin through, and then what you might want to do is get your screwdriver, take some of the spring tension out. It is a bit fiddly. And there we go. Nice small taps, then the rest of the way with your punch. And that's it, that's all there is to it. And just put your wheel back on and away you go. Make sure to pump your brake pedal before you drive off. But if you change brakes before, you should already know this. This is really a guide for people who do know what they're doing. I wouldn't recommend playing with your brakes if you haven't got a clue what you're doing. So, all easy, all changed, all done. See you next time.